All right, yo, what up, everybody? It is Thursday, getting ready for week 5. You already know who it is, the fantasy executive and Johnny VTV, your favorite fantasy analyst. The Executive Network is now brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Hit the link in the comment section for a 100% deposit match, courtesy of the Executive Network and Underdog Fantasy. Win with the Executive Network and Underdog Fantasy this NFL season. JVTV, what's shaking, baby? Welcome to week 5. How you feeling?
Oh, baby, I'm doing good, man. Just living and grinding. This might be shaping out to be a better week than it was the last two, so I'm excited to get it started tonight with a horrendous game.
Yeah, I'm not really one that, listen, it could be some excitement. It could be some action. Washington Commanders home for the Chicago Bears. Now, if you're like me, older gentleman, every Thursday night I have to figure out where the football game is at. So save yourself the embarrassment. It's on Amazon Prime like it is every Thursday night. Yet every Thursday night I got the remote. Like, where's the damn game? Hopefully we're not at that point yet. Listen, JVTV, number bounced around 6, 5.5. The Royal Mint spot was there for a couple minutes. You know what I'm saying? Jumped back up to 5. Royal Mint didn't do too well last week, but we bet it blindly. Are we taking the 5.5 tonight? Or are we going with the... No, before we start talking about handicapping the game, to me, Johnny, this game is Washington's defensive line versus Chicago's offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Washington Commanders, they're coming off an amazing game at the Philadelphia Eagles.
We put them on that. We was on the right side of that one, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you aren't. You were like, "Oh, I'm going to take the Eagles." You got to run that tape back.
I was the one that said that the Commanders always play the Eagles tough.
You were like, "I'm laying the 9.5," and
I wouldn't know.
Oh, all right. You need to go back.
Serious.
Go back and listen to the tape from last week. But nevertheless,
I know that the Commanders always play the Eagles tough. I said I would sprinkle the money line.
That's not what you said. That's
we
not
have to
what
run
you
the
said.
tape back on that one.
Go check the tape. Go check the tape.
In any case,
here, I think realistically, Washington had a chance to win that game, and I'm surprised a guy named Riverboat Ron, who earned that nickname because of the amount of gambling he does within football games, not sports betting, like going for it in different situations. And, to not go for 2, go for the win at the end of regulation after an unbelievable touchdown pass from Sam Howell, a little disappointed. So I feel like this is a spot.
He couldn't make that call, though, Jay. He couldn't make that call. If they would have lost that game, he'd have got torn to shreds.
No, that's the right call, bro. You're near 9-point underdogs on the road against a division rival, and that's not a situation you want to have your team go into overtime. Your offense gave up 30 points, or whatever it was in regulation. Like, it's not something that I would have really liked to see them get the ball and go play an overtime. I wanted them to go for the win right then and there. They had the Eagles defense on the ropes. And you know what, bro? Like, Ron Rivera has made his living off, gambling. And
Ron Rivera made his living off of Cam Newton. Yeah, because that's the only time he's ever been successful.
Yeah, but I just don't. I don't like the decision that he got cold feet to not go for it. The Eagles defense was tired. He said, "Oh, well, my offense was tired." Like, bro, come on. It's very difficult to go into Philly and win in general, but you have them on the ropes. Go take a shot, man. I could have lived with them going for it and not getting it, but at least we're here to win this football game. It's very difficult because the Eagles are a much better team, and your defense was reeling. You got burned by AJ Brown twice, and
for all intents and purposes, that catch that McLaurin made, that was a reception. They should have called that a reception. He was on Son's arm, and then his tip his tip was on Johnny's forehead. Now his tip was on wasn't touching the chalk. You know what I'm trying to say. But listen, that was a valiant effort, but he would have got torn to shreds if he would have went for it and lost.
All right, Brian Daboll, in his first game as a head coach last year, week 1 in Tennessee, he goes for the 2-point conversion for the win, and he gets it, and it's a great call. I have no problem in that situation going for it. I mean, you're a big-time underdog. Your defense has been getting cooked all game. Sam Howell played unbelievable. Give him a shot to win the game, bro. You have a guy who's in his first year starting. Let's see what he's made of. He's already put together an unreal effort in enemy territory against the defending NFC champions. Like, give him a shot, man. Like, the defense, to me, it was in a position in this game where, like, we're not seeing a ton of success from them. I don't like it. And if you're on offense, you might only get one shot, one crack. And their defense isn't what we expected to this point, but they're still no slouch. I didn't like it. To me, it was a gutless call to go and win that game in overtime.
What about the Chicago Bears? Justin Fields turned the ball over in the winning spot again. The coach did help with a bad decision to not kick that field goal. Chicago Bears winless so far in the season. If they have the first pick in the draft again, they're going to take a quarterback. They probably should have took a quarterback last year, but that's neither here nor there. What do you think of the Chicago Bears so far this season? You haven't lost any money on them, have you?
No, not really. I haven't really
smart enough to know. Yeah,
I haven't really messed around with the Bears too much. I thought the Chicago team was going to be more competitive. I'm being frank. I thought they were going to have a shot to be in the mix for the NFC North, and the reason why is because the amount of progression we saw from Justin Fields last year, we knew he was going to have to progress as a passer, especially in key situations late in the game when Chicago last year had a lot of opportunities to win different ball games, and they put the ball in Fields' hands and he threw a big interception late. Now, I thought with the addition of DJ Moore, you got Cole Kmet, Khalil Herbert, the defense was always going to be a question, but I don't love what I'm seeing. And a lot of it does go on the back of Matt Eberflus, who is a defensive guy, and he's just putting out there a little league defense for Chicago. Like, I understand the talent isn't where it needs to be. Like, Eddie Jackson's been missing a ton of time. That's a difference maker at the safety position. But, a lot of it is on Eberflus, and let's call it what it is. He hasn't put Justin Fields in the best position to win. Now, you're up 28-7. Fields throws a pick six. He has a big turnover.
That's Eberflus' fault?
That's on Fields. But as a collective body of work, they haven't let him do what he did last year and just make plays. They're trying to get him to play a little
They had the first pick in the draft, Johnny. It didn't work. The guy can't quarterback. Stop blaming the coaches. This kid is no good.
I don't agree. I think Justin Fields is very good. I don't think we're seeing him at his best. Like, what happened last year when Fields was looking like Michael Vick 2.0?
He was running and getting yards and running, and the team was losing the game.
Yeah, but that wasn't on him. They were losing games where they're scoring 30, 40 points. I don't think Fields right now is in the right system. I think, honestly, if they traded him to Atlanta to get rid of Desmond Ridder, and like the way Arthur Smith calls his offense with a heavy rushing attack and the weapons they have in Atlanta, I think the Falcons would be something of a contender in the NFC.
The quarterback for Atlanta is Kyler Murray. That's the quarterback for Atlanta.
Here's the thing with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's talented. I don't like his attitude. He's not a winner. I don't think Kyler Murray I don't think he's the kind of guy that is going to handle criticism well. I don't think he's the guy that's going to take the blame when the team loses. We've seen that a lot in Arizona. There were former teammates of Kyler Murray that literally said, bro, like, he doesn't mess with anybody on the team.
He's not a leader.
He's not a leader.
Captain America type guy. He think he's better than everybody.
Exactly. So, like, Fields, I don't see that with Fields. I think there's a lot of growing pains as a young quarterback who, if we're being honest, isn't truly developed as a passer. I don't think the Bears are the team to get him there. He has the potential. I just think it's going to take the right coach to get it out of him, or the right system.
Listen, I think it's the player. I think the player has deficiencies. I think the reason why they call the game a certain way is because they know he has deficiencies. He throws the screen passes. That's all he can complete. So you want to get him some completions to get him going. That's why it's a lot of screen passes in the offense. And then when you look at the late game situations, he turns the ball over.
He does. But I mean, if we're looking at his numbers prior to that, the guy was carving up Denver's defense.
Yeah,
no doubt. I understand the interceptions are part of it, no question. It was a costly, because it wasn't just a turnover, bro. It was a pick six, and then he turned it over again.
Yeah,
I'm not excusing Fields from everything. I'm not absolving him of all his sins. I'm just saying I think this guy has something special. I just don't think he is in a situation where he's going to improve. Matty Eberflus is another guy that we've seen that's probably he's better off as a coordinator. Not everybody can make that jump from a successful coordinator to a successful head coach. It's just the facts of life, bro. Like we've seen Dan Quinn as a guy who is somebody that put together the Legion of Boom, and he's putting together an unreal Dallas defense. But even though he went to a Super Bowl in Atlanta, if you look at all his other seasons, they were very underwhelming.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like Dan Quinn is a coordinator. Not everybody's a head coach. And a head coach is a leader. A coordinator is like a manager. A coordinator does the right thing. Leaders make the right decisions.
And I think Fields is missing something. And I don't think it's an innate trait. I think it's just the situations around him. And,
all right. Okay,
I think he will get there. It's going to – the Chicago Bears, just the way it's going this year, I think they're going to obviously be in contention for the first pick this year. They have two top picks, which is awesome. I think really, though, they're going to have to try and trade Justin Fields away, get Caleb Williams, and try and see if they could start over from scratch. If Fields goes to a team that can kind of cater to his skill set, have the personnel in there to help build him up, I think he will be successful in the long run. I truly do.
If that same coaching staff is in Chicago, Caleb Williams is not going to go to that place. He won't have nothing to do with them. Caleb Williams is going to call his own shot. I guarantee you that. All right, let's get ready to start discussing some line movements. Obviously we do big bets tomorrow night, Friday, where we get you slate by, we get you game by game breakdown of the slate, right? But I do want to talk on some line movements because I think this early to midweek line movement does mean something. New York Giants, Miami Dolphins. This one opened up at 10. Johnny, it's all the way up to 12.5. It's really if it gets to 14, I'm not taking the points with the Giants.
No. Even if Barkley comes back, it looks like Andrew Thomas, the left tackle's out again. Evan Neal has been getting absolutely worked. Here's the reason why I really like Miami this week. Because it's not the fact that most people would say, "Oh, the Giants, they had a bad game; they're going to rebound." No,
this is a blind bet. This is really a blind bet spot for the Giants.
Even if that wasn't the case, bro, Miami got their ass beat in Buffalo. They got embarrassed. Their offense pretty much got shut down in the second half of the game. And I think. Coming off that situation, the Dolphins have a bad taste in their mouth. They're going back home, South Florida, probably still humid this time of the year. The Giants coming off a short week, got to go on the road and play in that humidity against a team that could put up 50 on them. And their offense just, it doesn't look good. The deficiencies of the Miami Dolphins is not something I really see the Giants being able to take advantage of. Daniel Jones, I don't think Daniel Jones is the guy, but he really is not being helped by the lack of receiving talent the Giants have, as well as the pitiful offensive line play. And Saquon Barkley, let's say he comes back this week. I highly doubt this is a guy that's getting 25 touches. He might be on something of a pitch count. I personally don't see it. I think Miami runs away with this one. This is a situation where, 11.5, 12.5. I think they probably win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I would agree with that one right there. It's no way you can get behind the Giants, even though this would be a blind bet spot. You could also say it's a blind bet spot for the Miami Dolphins. They lost double-digit spread loser last week as well. So, but listen, here's the deal. I told people coming into this season that Saquon Barkley was overrated. He's the most overrated player in the NFL. No, he needs everything around him to be perfect, to be good. He's always hurt. He doesn't really do much as a pass receiver out of the backfield. To me, if he wasn't playing in New York and then had this amazing college career, he would be another Alexander Madison type running back.
Stop it. What are you talking about? He had 2,000 scrimmage yards as a rookie. Bro.
What has he done since?
Okay, fine. He's been hurt, but he had a good year last year.
He had a good year. He had a good year.
He had a really good year last year. The Giants made the playoffs because of it. What are you talking about? Saquon Barkley is a difference maker. I think right now, just with the injuries, that's a whole other issue. But talent-wise, he is one of the best running backs in football, and he has been. I don't know where you get off saying that Saquon Barkley
is
average.
Numbers don't lie, Johnny.
First of all, numbers do lie, Corey, number one. And number two, we've seen Saquon Barkley when he's been healthy. The 2 years he was healthy, he had unbelievable seasons. What are we saying? If you want to say he's not worth the money because you can't count on him for a full 16 or a full 17, that's one thing. But to say the guy is not talented, like Daniel Jones is his quarterback, bro. Like he does not operate a system where Barkley's going to get a ton of involvement as a receiver, and behind a bad offensive line,
last year
he's
in
still
his best
running.
year, you said that Barkley was the man, but now all of a sudden going to get tough and Barkley not the man no more. Which one
he hasn't even been on the field.
That's a part of it. Your best ability is your availability.
I agree, but that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that he's not good. It's just he's not able to stay healthy. You make that argument when you say, "Oh, I don't want to pay him." That's why the Giants didn't pay Barkley. They paid Daniel Jones, which was a shit decision if we're being honest, and we all knew it.
Yeah,
but that's apples and oranges.
Them Giants fans awfully quiet this week. They're not hitting up my line like there was after the Cowboys lost to the Cardinals. But joke's on you, Jack. What else number? Oh, this number has moved. Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers. You always know these AFC North showdowns. Here's an interesting one right here, though, Johnny. If the Baltimore Ravens in the first month of the season can have road wins over Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, they're well on their way to being AFC North champions. But when it comes to this Sunday right here, the Pittsburgh Steelers will give the Baltimore Ravens everything they have. Last 5 games, Pittsburgh 5-1 ATS versus the Ravens. Now, Baltimore may win the game, but Pittsburgh is going to play them to the bloody end. This is one of those games where the records don't matter.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of having to consider play Kenny Pickett every time. It seems like he's going to play this week. I'd rather back Mitch Trubisky, if I'm being honest, because at least he can run and he's mobile. But what do we say? The hardest thing to do is forget what you saw last week, right? But the end of the day, bro, I really want to take the Ravens in this spot, and I think they're going to win this game outright. But you cannot ignore the Harbaugh versus Tomlin head-to-head matchups. These are one of the trends that you have to go by. So I did a little research, and I tweeted this out yesterday. So since 2015, these two teams have played 16 head-to-head contests. 10 of them have been decided by 4 points or less. Only 3 of them have been outside of 1 possession. 10 of 16 have been 4 or closer. And a couple of them have been, late scores to go ahead up by 2 possessions. Only 2 of them are really blowouts, I think. And it's just...
No, this is you can throw the records out. These teams just go at each other.
So I think 4 points, 4.5. I probably would take Pittsburgh at home. This is a huge one because if the Steelers lose this game, the Ravens have a stranglehold in the AFC North with Cincinnati floundering. Cleveland, I don't really think is a team that we pictured to be an AFC North.
The quarterback
winner
in Cleveland is going to let them down at some point.
Yeah, and the Ravens already have the tiebreaker. So if the Ravens win this game, that's 3 tiebreakers that they have at the moment in the first 5 weeks of the season. But that being said, as of right now, I probably lean the side of the Steelers with the points. I do think Baltimore wins this game, but if you're giving me outside of a field goal, I do like the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday.
Number moves up. Baltimore now currently laying 4.5 at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Number that has bounced around, and I know that me and you are going to be on the same side on this one. The Houston Texans and the Atlanta Falcons. The hardest thing to do in sports betting is to forget what you saw last week. There you go. Everybody and their mother is on the Houston Texans. Johnny, what's the right play?
Dude, this is another situation where we have another tweet I sent out yesterday. We have 2 of the biggest, trendiest dogs
ever,
maybe in the entire season this year. Now, I'm probably, over exaggerating, but definitely the 2 biggest this week is going to be the Arizona Cardinals against the Bengals and the Houston Texans in Atlanta. I want to go Houston. I really do. I love what CJ Stroud's doing. I love what D'Amico Ryans has done. Like we've talked about this last few weeks. This is a fun team to watch. They have something special building. They really do. But the trendy dog quarter, we know that's a thing we usually fade. Atlanta has been has just not looked like the team that a lot of people thought they were going to, like they were going to be this year's Lions. I
No.
personally didn't buy it because of the quarterback. And,
Not with Desmond Ridder.
being a Falcons fan, they find different ways to let you down. People just like aren't really familiar with that because they haven't suffered like I have for 20 years. But, Desmond Ridder at home, I don't think he's ever lost a home game going back to college. Atlanta is in a spot here where they're being heavily doubted because of the success of the Texans. I'm probably going to go with Atlanta in at least one circa million entries.
Good
I'm
job.
going to do the trendy dog this week. Corey, the Patriots were a trendy dog last week.
Yep.
And one of the things of note matchup-wise here, CP, is the fact that Atlanta's defense is pretty good. And I think the addition of Jesse Bates has helped. Their pass defense looked great last week against the Jaguars. Outside of one busted coverage of Calvin Ridley, they shut him down. Christian Kirk had a solid game, 84 yards. I think Atlanta's pass defense is going to slow down the Texans' offense a little bit. The run game for Houston hasn't really been there to this point. I think Atlanta squeaks out a tight win, maybe a game-winning field goal or something late to give them the edge. I'm going to go with the Falcons here.
Game-winning field goal, I agree. Most ought to go to overtime prop. Most books is about 850 plus 950. Hit that as well. I can see this being an overtime contest. Arthur Smith as a home favorite, 8-1 on the money line. That's all I need to know. Get behind the Atlanta Falcons right there. Another interesting one right here too, Johnny. Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts. You got to do your research, folks. You got to do your research. The Tennessee Titans have made Indianapolis a second home the past couple years. So this one opened up with the Colts the favorite. Now we're seeing the respected money come in, push that number to where Tennessee is the favorite, and it's moving up. Tennessee up to a 2.5-point favorite now. Jonathan Taylor could be back this week, but I don't think it make a difference because Tennessee will stop the run. I like the Tennessee Titans in this one.
I like the Titans as well, but one thing I'm getting a little nervous about, Corey, you know how we lay the big and we take the small, and it's a small divisional opponent at home. 2.5 is usually that's a number to take with the Indianapolis Colts, as most of it's not like a Royal Mint spot, but it's like one of those spots where you keep a lookout for a team home getting 2 or 2.5, especially in divisional game. That's the one area of concern. Tennessee's won 5 in a row against the Indianapolis Colts. I don't really know what to make of the Titans. They got blown out by Cleveland, but then they blow out Cincinnati. They're a very hard team to cap. We know Derrick Henry eats against the Colts. He runs for 100 yards and a tud every single time he faces them, it feels like. I'm going to go with Tennessee. This is one where I'll probably take down to Sunday morning and see what the line movement is. But for right now, I'm going to ride with the Titans here. I do think Anthony Richardson, though, dude, he's so much fun to watch. I love Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to be a star in the NFL. He's showing a lot of promise early, but I just don't think it'll be enough on Sunday afternoon.
I would agree with you on that one right there. So I'm going to go Tennessee Titans as well. Okay, let's get back. Now, if you are in a place where you are allowed to play in the Underdog Fantasy Pick'em contest, got a couple plays for you right here that you can go ahead with. Justin Fields passing, I'm going to go higher than 193.5 passing yards. Khalil Herbert, I'm going lower than 11.5 rushing attempts. And with Brian Robinson Jr., BJR, I'm going higher than 16 rushing attempts. All right, JVTV, let's get to the good stuff right here. Chicago Bears, Washington Commanders in DC. Right now, DraftKings Sportsbook, up-to-date odds. Washington's a 6-point favorite. That 6 is juiced to -115. Bring us home, Johnny.
I don't have a play here tonight. Nothing official on my card, but I think I'd probably lay it with the Commanders. And the reason is I don't know how Chicago is going to be able to stop this Commanders offense if they take care of the ball. The run game, I expect Robinson to probably tote 18 to 20 carries. Sam Howell, he looked really good. So give me the Commanders. There's just too many weapons for this bad Bears team to have to contend with. And if we're being honest, dude, I have to see it from Justin Fields first. This front seven for the Commanders has athletes. I don't know if they stop Justin Fields on the ground, but I think they contain him enough to the point where neutralizes him, because through the air, I just don't know if he's going to be able to do enough. I could see DJ Moore probably have a decent game tonight, maybe something in the 80-yard territory, sneak a tud. But ultimately, I think I have to go Commanders at home here. It's just it's more than just a bad product that the Bears have. They're going through a lot of stuff internally. It seems like it's just it's so much of a distraction. It's taking away the focus of the players, and it's a soul crushing loss how they blew it to Denver last week. I just don't think they're equipped to sit here and turn the ship around on a short week on the road, nonetheless.
No doubt. Let me ask you this before we get out of here. Who are you looking at for Survivor this week?
I was between Miami and the Lions. So one of my theories was maybe I take the Lions this week against the Panthers. So I save Miami, and then I turn around and take Miami again, or take Miami against the Panthers again. The one thing is, though, like, even though the Panthers aren't a good football team,
the Panthers beat Detroit last year, right?
Yeah, so that's
one of the only teams. Matter of fact, the last team to beat Detroit in the regular season last year may have been the Panthers.
I was a different Panthers team, though.
Understood.
But the thing is, like, I'm going to pick against the same team 2 weeks in a row. That's the one thing that's just like, it sounds good on paper, but that, to me, that's something difficult, because the Panthers, I think, are 0-4 right now. So if they lose this week, they're 0-5, and then they're going to go again next week, lose again. Definitely possible, but something smells on that for me. So I think I'm going to probably go with Miami this week. I'm taking another big favorite, but at the end of the day, I only have one entry to play with, and the name of the game is just get yourself to next week and
survive and advance.
That's
there
it.
You go.
So,
and also
Miami's not definite. It's not locked in yet, but that's probably where I'm going to go.
All right, don't forget, tomorrow night, me and Johnny V be right back at it. Big bets that'll be posted right here on Executive YouTube Network for my man JVTV. It's Corey Parson, the Fantasy Exec. Let's get her done and get some wins tonight.